Hi, how are you? It's Dr. Muso. We want to talk about the Prazo system in the Zambezi Valley. What is the Prazo? We are talking about local people losing their lands. Their lands, they were taken away. When they were taken away, the Portuguese now, they established what was known as the Prazo, like what we say in our local language, Prazi. During Prazi on Friday, I'm going to my farm, to my plot. That is the Prazo that we are talking about. So we want to talk about this Prazo system in the Zambezi Valley. So we want to describe this Prazo system. So the land was taken by the Portuguese using treaties with the Mutapas, which they signed by the Mutapa people. So they had to sign treaties with local people, and through those treaties now the local people were not in a position of reading and writing. The local people, they lost their lands because of the treaties that they were signing with the Portuguese. When they lost their lands now, we see now the Prazo system coming into place. Africans, they were also used as laborers on the Prazos. The Portuguese, when they came, they did not bring laborers. So when the local people lost their lands now, they were now recruited by the Portuguese, and they started to work as laborers on their lands. The lands that they lost or that they lost to the Portuguese. The Portuguese now lived in luxury. They were now enjoying life. Land was now, they were now in possession of land. They were now in control of the land that was in the Mutapa state. So they were now enjoying, so they were now living a luxurious life. Slave labor was common. So we see slave labor also starting. The local people enslaved, and when they were enslaved, they were now working on those lands that they lost to the Portuguese. We also see cohabitation between the Portuguese and the Africans, and this cohabitation, it led the Portuguese now to impregnate the local people. So we now see that the local people were impregnated. Some people even lost their wives, and we see a new breed of people coming into place. These people were known as the mulattoes. The mulattoes, we are talking about the colored people who were now seen everywhere. Why? Coming from the mixture of the Portuguese and the Africans. The Prazo system also, we see that the Prazo owners controlled trade, and we see that they were now influencing the Vashambazi, those people who were moving around trading with the local people. Like these days, we are talking about people who move around, Mahatomati Dora, Mahabenguzi Dora. They are spreading, or they will be moving around selling their different commodities. So these are the Vashambazi that we are talking about. They were also now moving, selling different commodities. These were now employed by the Portuguese. So the Portuguese were now having a lot of influence in what was taking place in the Mutapa state. The Portuguese also used private armies, which was called Chikunda. So they had to create their army, their personal army, private army, which was called Chikunda. This army was terrible. It brutalized, it terrorized the people. People now lived in fear. Why? Because the Chikunda army was not good to the local people. People were now afraid of the Chikunda army, which was an army of the Portuguese. We also see that it is said that the local people could borrow items from the Portuguese, and if you borrowed an item and you failed to pay back what you could have borrowed, the Portuguese could send the Chikunda, go and see John. So he borrowed 2 bags of potatoes. He's failing to pay back. And if you see Chikunda coming, you were supposed to run away for your life, because if you were in touch with him now, they knew where to beat you. And we see people now living in fear because of this secret army, which was called Chikunda. The Prazo, we also see that it was a source of slave trade, like what I already said. People were enslaved so that they could work on the lands that were now possessed by the Portuguese. The Prazos took over the roles of traditional leaders. The traditional leaders now, they no longer had authority, control over the land. We see the Portuguese now having a control of what was taking place in the Mutapa system. So this is how we can describe the activities that took place during this time that the Portuguese were in touch with the Mutapa people during this so-called the Prazo system. Thank you so much, Dr. Muso.